Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and I'm joined by a very special guest. I'm joined by Noah Epstein, the broadcaster for the Gastonia Ghost Peppers. And the Gastonia Ghost Peppers, for those who are not aware, is a baseball team, professional baseball team, that in 2023 was the home for JC Escarra for a bit. Noah does not just call games for the Ghost Peppers, he's also the communications coordinator for them, and he does play-by-play for the Jacksonville Icemen, an ECHL affiliate for the Buffalo Sabres. So, Noah, there's a lot we're going to get into. We're going to talk about JC Escarra, talk a bit about your broadcasting work, and we're also going to talk about some trade deadline stuff. But how you doing today, my friend? And, yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. We just finished a long week, 6 games in as many days at Caramon Health Park here in Gastonia. So it's nice to get the day to relax and talk to you, Ryan. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And first, let's jump right in with JC Escarra here, because in 2023, he played for the Gastonia Ghost Peppers. And now that he's with the New York Yankees, spent a year in their minor league system last year. This year has been awesome for them at the major league level. What did you see when he was with Gastonia, and what have you seen throughout his journey that led him to this point, and why you believe he's having success at the big league level?
A professional hitter. That's the answer at the end of the day. A pro hitter. There was a difference, and I talked about it with Goose Gazzo, the manager, Chuck Stewart, the hitting coach, Brady Salisbury, the GM. We all would sit around after games talking about JC Escarra and how he crushed balls off the left field wall. He took it to right center. He took it to right everywhere. Used the entire field. And I need to say that he is a fantastic guy. That's very important. I know you're asking about the baseball side of things, but anytime I would walk in the clubhouse, he would always say hi. He was always so easy to talk to. He is just a fantastic dude. So just that, and also him, of course, playing for Gastonia, it's been a phenomenal story. I've been blessed to be able to tell it. I've been blessed to be able to meet with him in Tampa like I did in late January, right before spring training. That was a phenomenal experience. And he is, I think the most impressive part, and we can definitely get more into this, but the most impressive part is his catching. The most impressive part is the fact that with the Orioles system, didn't catch, gets released, plays for Gastonia. That's where he really started to develop catching. And then, of course, working with Tanner Swanson. I mean, anyone's going to be a better catcher after working with him in the Yankees organization. And just to see where he is right now, I believe top 5 in frame rate in MLB. One of the best backup catchers, I mean, you could ask for, right, in terms of giving you. He's caught 4 1-0 wins, if I'm not mistaken. It's insane. It's phenomenal what he's done. He, of course, just caught the Clark Schmidt game where he went 7 no-hit innings. So I am so happy for him. He really, really deserves it. Genuinely great dude. And, yeah, just fantastic guy.
Yeah, as you referenced, he has 3 catcher framing runs on StatCast in just 533 pitches. He is the only player to be in the top 10 while catching under 600 pitches this season. The guys ahead of him all have either over 1,300 pitches, so we're talking nearly 3 times as many pitches caught, or in the case of Austin Hedges, who's right ahead, he's tied with him. He has about 150 more pitches caught, and Hedges is known as a very strong defender.
I was going to say, Hedges, he's the standard.
Yeah,
he
is.
He's the standard for that, so that's pretty cool.
And unlike most backup catchers, as you mentioned, with Escarra and him being a professional hitter, Escarra's provided really good at-bats for the Yankees. He has a 13% strikeout rate, an 11.7% walk rate, and we've kind of seen the flashes of power as well. Can you kind of delve into why you believe, offensively, outside of just a professional hitter and his plate discipline skills, what you think has clicked for him from his times in Gastonia?
I could absolutely tell you. It's a quote that he told me in May of 2023, right, when I interviewed him after it was a walk-off or maybe it was a home run that he hit, something like that. He said, every single game, I never get too high and I never get too low. And that really spoke to me because he's always even keel. Whether he goes 4 for 4 or 0 for 4, he's always going to go into the next game with the same attitude. He's never going to get too high, never going to get too low. And just the patience-ness, the ability to be able to do that game in and game out, especially as a backup catcher. Now Ben Rice is in the mix. He's getting his at-bats limited. And I've talked with my friend about this. Being a backup catcher, really, really hard because you're rarely in there. And the fact that he's still been... Now, his numbers don't pop off the page by any means, but still, I think it's around 740, 750 OPS at this point, hitting around 240 if I'm not mistaken. So it's been very cool, very impressive to see him be productive. He has the walk-off in there when he hit his first home run. I texted him, congrats. It's just so cool. So cool.
Yeah, and when you talk about the work that you have to put in as a backup catcher, JC Escarra's never complained about playing time. He's never made public comments of, I'm good, I should be playing, I don't see why I'm not playing. You don't see those comments. Instead, what you see is so much preparation that goes in, not even just in games he's playing, but those in-between stretches where he's built up a great rapport with Carlos Rodon. Will Warren seems to love pitching to him. A lot of guys in the staff, with Austin Wells, too, who's there, they love throwing to Wells. They've grown to really love throwing to JC Escarra, and I think that speaks to both his defensive abilities and, as you mentioned, his character. Now, I'm switching gears a little bit, not getting away from Gastonia necessarily, because I want to talk to you a little bit about Jake Gatewood, because he played for Gastonia last year and was signed by the Yankee organization. He's on the developmental list right now, but we've seen some flashes of power. Is there anything with Jake Gatewood that you think could click at the next level for him?
Love that you asked that. I was going to bring it up if you didn't ask it. Jake is another great dude, and I promise I don't say that about everybody. He's another guy who's phenomenal. Coming into the season last year, I heard like average defender, maybe below average defender. He was fantastic. That was my main takeaway. Yeah, he hit all the home runs. He drove in the most RBIs in the league. I think it was like third most RBIs in league history or something in a single season. But most RBIs in Gastonia's franchise history as well. But his defense at short, his defense at third, it was amazing. So I think that was my big takeaway last year. And I know he's just like Escara. He's up there in age compared to the rest of the guys in AA, AAA. But I definitely hope he gets his opportunity. Right now, Yankees could use it. I made this joke so many times in the offseason. I was like, Yankees could use a third baseman. So
yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, and, I think it's interesting you mentioned age because that doesn't seem to be as much of a deterrent for the Yankees. They're kind of getting a market inefficiency there. They drafted Ben Rice, who was an older guy, and they never bailed on him, even as he got up there in age, quote-unquote, for a prospect. Clark Schmidt, I don't believe, got his first major league win until he was 27. They never really gave up on Michael King as a starter, even though he was 28 his last year with the Yankees. And Will Warren, he turned 27 or 26 recently, and they don't view it as, all right, he's got to be the guy now or he's never going to be that guy. It's paid off with Escarra. It may pay off with Gatewood, and it's definitely paid off with Ben Rice as well. So you got to love to see it. And, Noah, shifting gears here towards your time with Gastonia, your broadcasting career, can you speak a little bit as to what that experience has been like and what is life as a broadcaster?
Fun. Life is stressful at times, but life as a broadcaster is very fun. Look, as probably every broadcaster out there would say the same thing. I wanted to play the game. I wanted to play. I wanted to be where Jake Gatewood, where JC Escara are right now. I grew up a diehard Yankees fan. My favorite player was Robinson Cano. I just levitated to him. He was so smooth in the field. Swing was beautiful to watch. So I wanted to be him. I wanted to be Cano. And I got to a point where I was like, all right, I don't have the athletic ability to do so. I want to stick around the game somehow. So I took broadcasting classes at Hofstra University on Long Island. That was when I was in middle school. I was the PA announcer senior year of high school for the varsity baseball team. I actually went to the Long Island Ducks Stadium to broadcast in front of friends and family.
Wow.
That was probably my favorite memory from all of high school. And yeah, it's been a fun ride. I went to Quinnipiac University in Connecticut, where I got a bachelor's and master's in 4 years, sports journalism. And I just always knew I wanted to be a part of the game. I knew I wanted to go anywhere in the country, to broadcast baseball professionally. And it happened to me in North Carolina. I've been down here this is my third year here, which is just crazy to say. But life as a broadcaster is great. I get to talk about what these players are able to do because I wasn't able to do it, but I still want to stay around the game. So it's all about them. It's all about the players. It's all about the fans. I'm just trying to be a messenger. I'm trying to relay information to the fans of what's going on in an exciting way, in a correct way, in a factual way. And it's so much fun. I love it. I genuinely love what I do so much.
I love to hear that. And, I've told the story a few times that I got into podcasting and writing because I saw a guy when I was like 14 hit a ball with a wooden bat like 350, 360 feet, clear left field fence. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. So might have to start looking into what's next after I put the glove and the cleats down. Now, one thing I do think is really important, I emphasize this a lot on this channel, is baseball outside of just the major leagues, that Major League Baseball is not the only form of baseball people should consume and should go out there and watch. Can you speak to the importance of pro baseball, even when it isn't just the 30 Major League teams or Major League Baseball itself?
Oh, it's so important. It's so important because, I mean, from a player's perspective, I'll talk about the players and I'll talk about the fans. Player's perspective, you just got a big injury, whether it's Tommy John, whether it's leg injury, whatever it may be, and a team releases you. You want a second chance. You want a second chance. You want a third chance at getting back to affiliated ball, getting back to the major leagues. That's why I think the Atlantic League is a great track record of getting players back to affiliated teams and getting players into the big leagues for the first time, whether it be a JC Escara experience or getting back to the major league level. Even if they're not injured, if they're just released by a team, getting back. So the Atlantic League really prides itself as a second chance league. Rick White, the president, is very adamant about that. And I think it's just great that the players have another chance. Or whether you're Pablo Sandoval, whether you're Daniel Murphy, Jackie Bradley Jr., the Starlin Castro, the amount of names we've had in this league over the past few years since I've been here is really, really cool. So when you have a guy like Mike Wright Jr. last year, Richie Martin last year and this year, it's like, oh, I remember him. I remember that guy. And he's just in the Atlantic League. So I just think it's very cool from a player's perspective. They have that chance to go back to the majors, which is where everybody wants to be, obviously. And then from a fan's perspective, it's just really cool to have other baseball teams, to have that experience, to have entertainments. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is for minor league baseball. It's entertainment. It's getting people to the ballpark, getting people to Caramon Health Park on a Tuesday night to enjoy Tuesday, bring your dogs, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's having those kind of fun promotions, thinking outside the box, and getting fans to enjoy. Because especially here, the nearest MLB park is Truist in Atlanta. That's over 3 hours away. That's 3.5, pushing 4 hours away. So if you're a fan, you're like, all right, well, I don't want to go, I'll go to Truist once, but I don't want to go all the way in that 4-hour trip a lot of times. Oh, I'm in Charlotte. I can go to a Knights game. I can go to a Gastonia game. I can go up the road to High Point. There's just plenty of teams in the area that the fans can go to. So I think it's really, really good to have all these teams. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talent in baseball, just in general. I mean, the average fastball velocity at the major league level, I believe, is, I think it's cracked 95, or it's like right on the precipice of being 95 miles an hour. That means that if you're throwing 93, you're below the major league average. You're sitting 93. I think that's crazy. There are a lot of pro pitchers who've got nasty stuff. There are a lot of pro hitters who can hit the baseball, I mean, just absolutely smoke a baseball. There is still also the magic to baseball when you're at the stadium and you're a fan and you start developing that rooting interest and you start feeling it. It's the bottom of the 8th or it's the bottom of the 7th. There are runners on, 2 outs. I mean, it's a classic situation. You feel it. And so I did want to get one more question about the broadcasting side of things with Gastonia. What is your favorite moment, or the moment where you feel like you've had the most adrenaline, or the most, that magic feeling calling a game?
Such a tough question, and I'll answer it, obviously. Such a tough question because the team's been the best team in the league for each of the past 3 seasons. Had the most wins, at least, I'll say, in the regular season. So 23, we were phenomenal. Obviously, JC Escarra, he left it in mid-June to go to Mexico, but he was phenomenal. And then 2024, best first half in a single season in league history. So I've witnessed a lot of phenomenal moments. I'm between two. I'll say it was Jake Gatewood's walk-off home run that he hit against High Point in a big game toward the end of the first half of the season last year, where it clinched the tiebreaker against High Point, eventually led to us clinching the first half. But it was a big moment. It was 3-3, bottom of the 9th inning, and it was one of those shots where it was crush it to left field. We have our wall in left field is 304 down the line. So people want to talk about Yankee Stadium. For some reason, nobody. No, okay, I was going to say nobody talks about Caramon Health for now. But 304 down the line. We do have a big, a tall fence, so it's similar to Fenway in that way. But a routine fly ball to left is going to go out, and this was not routine. He crushed it to the parking lot. So Jake Gatewood, walk-off homer. Don't know the exact date, but from June of last year.
Yeah, and I mean the walk, just the chills again for a walk off. It does not. It really doesn't matter the level. I mean, I can think of high school games where I'm like, I feel the level of energy I'd feel during the Yankee postseason in terms of just like the emotion, the raw emotion that goes into it. Now, I also do wonder with Gatewood because of, as you mentioned, that infield need when he does get back to AAA level because he's on the developmental list right now. It took Escarra a whole year last year to become part of that major league conversation. I wonder if the same occurs for Gatewood. Also to note, Escarra hit really well in AAA, AA at first, got a bit off to a slower start. There is an adjustment period there, so I think Gatewood is someone that fans are going to have to keep eyes on, especially in that second half. And when we start talking about the infield, that is an area of concern for the Yankees. It is an area of need for the Yankees. There are areas that the team's going to need help. Is there anyone that you think that stands out to you in particular, going back to your Yankee fandom here, that you want them to go out and get?
Yes. And this might hurt my boy Jake Gatewood, but Eugenio Suarez, I want him to be a Yankee. And I know that's the name circling around right now, but look at the numbers. Look at his clutch stats. Look at his numbers over the past few years. He is someone who I would love to see at third base for the Yanks. And then he can move Jazz Chisholm back to second because that's where Jazz should play. Jazz is a second baseman. No disrespect to DJ LeMahieu. He has been fantastic. At least a few years ago, he was at some point the most reliable player on the whole team. At some point, it was runners in scoring position. DJ was the man you wanted at the plate. Over Aaron Judge, over Stanley. He was the guy who was going to come through with that clutch hit. The numbers aren't there anymore. So I want Jazz Chisholm at second. I want Suarez at third. That is what I would love to happen at the trade deadline, at least for the infields.
Yeah, I will say Eugenio Suarez to me is this perfect fit for the offense because he also becomes... This is a guy with 25 home runs, by the way, and it's June. He becomes the second best home run hitter on the team. You could argue third depending on how you feel about Stanton's ability to hit home runs. Or Stanton becomes your third best home run hitter. That is an immense advantage to have in the regular season and also in the postseason. And I think, as you mentioned, the big thing, too, having Jazz back at second, I like the range at second more than I need. Like, LeMahieu, he hasn't been awful out there, don't get me wrong, but Jazz's ability to move laterally is so important to me. Now, you did mention Gatewood there. So, no, Suarez is a free agent at the end of the year. So that door could still be open. I do view...
All right, so rental. So Suarez rental, and then Gatewood next year. There we go.
It's the heir apparent. It's the torch is being passed on. That kind of situation, Kind of like Trevino got traded, open the door for Escara. Which still, just like that entire story, that whole story is still nuts to me. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's good at baseball, not just like, oh, he's here because he's a cool story. No, good at baseball at the major league level. Uber driver just a few years ago. That celebration, by the way, I think is so fun. Like the one at second base where he just does the steering wheel. Do you think his celebration at second base is better than his framing abilities? Because I'm kind of, it's a coin toss for me.
No, frame rate better.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm also biased because the Uber driver story is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong;
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. But then he still had to be traded to Gastonia, and then he still had to have the experience he did with the team in order to get more eyes on him and get picked up by Mexico. But the Uber driver story is amazing. Don't get me wrong. But I'm biased because, like, if Gastonia didn't give him all the opportunities, if they didn't let him catch as much as he did behind Scott Mineo, who was actually the number one catcher, believe it or not, if they didn't let him play the outfield and show all the scouts that he could do whatever and be an overall great baseball player, like you said, he would have never taken that next step to get to the level he needed to be. And so I think I did I'm happy about the work we did as a whole, portraying that story in a piece I wrote a few months back. It's called Catching Hope, and I'm sure you could find it on the internet somewhere. But I like the fact that we did a good job showing, like, J.C. Escarra, and he said it himself. He has said if not for his time with Gastonia, he wouldn't be where he is. So I just think it's so cool to have seen everything transpire in real time. Mm-hmm. I heard, like you were mentioning about the Yankee pitchers loving to work with Escarra. I heard in real time manager Goose Gazzo, the pitching coach Ian McKinney, hitting coach Chuck Stewart, the general manager Brady Salisbury, talking about how the pitchers are starting to come up to them and tell them that they like working with Escarra a lot. So it was so cool. I'm so lucky, so fortunate to have seen all of this play out in time, and it to lead to him working with Max Fried, Carlos Rodon. It's been such a blessing. I do like it. Uber driver, great story in that regard. But again, he needed to get traded to Gastonia from Kansas City, which is where he was an Uber driver, to allow for the opportunity to happen.
So what I'm hearing is he should change his celebration to bring a live ghost pepper and eating it every time he's at second base.
Correct. That is 100%.
In sweltering hot weather. That would be. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if that's a safe recommendation. I don't know if I can recommend that from a health standpoint. But that might be a more electric celebration. Like just eat a ghost pepper in front of your opponent and just show no emotion at all. That's got to be like beyond intimidating. Could you imagine if you're a shortstop, you see a guy in like 88-degree weather, humid. This weather's been just abysmal in terms of that. But dogs a ghost pepper and just stands there, no emotion, not even touches, nothing, not even going to get water. It's gotta be scary,
awesome.
man.
That'd be pretty badass.
That would be. Now, Noah, before we wrap things up here, you mentioned the Catching Hope article. I want to make sure people can find that, can find your social pages, and link to really whatever you want to link to. So whatever you want to throw in here, right here, and I'll link everything in the description as well.
First thing I'd love to plug is the podcast. Pep Talk podcast.
Is a great name. That is 80 grade.
So, fun fact, last season it was called I Know a Guy, as in like Noah and I Know a Guy. Just because I host the podcast, I edit the podcast, or at least the audio version. And then, yeah, it's just like I came up with the idea. I love the fact that we're doing a podcast because I think these players have great stories. These players, these coaches, people in the community that we've gotten on in the offseason, everybody has a story. Everyone has a story, and I want to be able to just share their story with the world. I've gotten on JC Escarra, gotten on Jake Gatewood. They each have their own episode, in addition to a bunch of former big leaguers. I think we're about to be on our 6th consecutive former big leaguer on the pod, so that's pretty cool. The point being, I would love everybody to check it out. It's pretty cool. We talk about baseball. We talk about movies if they like some movies. We talk about their lives, what's going on. Pretty much we cover. The goal is for even not the diehard baseball fans to like it. So we get in there. We talk about nerdy stuff. We talk about their advanced stats, all that kind of stuff. But also we talk about some casual stuff. So again, Pep Talk. You could find it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube.
Awesome, and
I hope that was a good plug.
That is a good plug. I do notice you have kind of like a Star Wars themed profile picture. I got to ask, you a Star Wars guy?
Oh, huge Star Wars guy.
Are you a Clone Wars guy?
I am a Clone Wars guy.
I love that. I grew up on Clone Wars. That got me into Star Wars. So I've been on the Star Wars like kick lately. I'm like rewatching Clone Wars. I want to like watch the movies again in not the order they're released, but the order that they're supposed to be watched in. Watch the prequels, then go with the original trilogy, then go into the sequels. I'm kind of planning out how I'm going to do it, but it's going to get done.
So you want to do 1, 2, 3 first? Is that
yeah. That's how I'm going to kind of go through that way.
So you want to do I've always been of the belief that it should be 4, 5, 6 first.
Really?
Because then it's a plot twist, the biggest plot twist in movie history. And I know everyone knows it, so it's underrated. It's so underrated because everyone knows it. But I Am Your Father is the biggest plot twist in cinema history. And if you watch 1, 2, sorry, I got passionate about this. If you watch 1, 2, 3 first, then it's ruined. You already know Luke's his son. It's so from that there are a few reasons why, but that's my biggest reason. I'm very happy when I was 7, 8 years old while videoing myself broadcasting the Knicks starting lineup every other day. Every other day I would be watching Star Wars movies in order 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. That's just my take though.
You know what? That's a very convincing reason to watch that way. I will watch it that way then.
Perfect.
I will go 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Go from there. You've sold me. You've sold me.
I'm glad I was able to sell you. Hopefully, I can sell other people too. Also, fun fact, that picture on my Twitter bio, that's from Star Wars night that we had at the park on May 10th, and we had like the 501st Legion show up. I was in contact with them.
That's incredible.
From like the Carolina Garrison. And it was so I was in contact with a woman named Deborah. She was phenomenal, in bringing a bunch of people. And then she brought like a Sith robe for me to wear, even though I'm in my broadcast booth and nobody could see me. so I could wear it during the game. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I went out on the mounds, and then we got the perfect graphic in the background on the video board that said Star Wars Night. It was just funny. I don't know.
That's incredible, man. I love that. I really do. I'm a big Star Wars guy.
Have you seen Andor?
I have to. That's also up on the docket. There's a lot of I've done a bad job of watching TV in most of my life. Like once I stopped watching cartoons, I stopped watching TV. So I'm trying to get back into that and back into regularly watching shows and not like binging shows I've already watched. So I will. Andor's on the radar for shows I got to watch, and I will get to that because I've heard it's really good. So
phenomenal. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on this show. This is awesome, man. I'm really excited for people to see this. And I'm really hoping that people go and check out your podcast and go check out the Gastonia Ghost Peppers because you never know what player may end up in the major leagues. And also, you just never know. You never know you're going to end up watching a good baseball game. You never know. You never, ever know.
Never know. And back-to-back year, it's crazy. Back-to-back years where my team has a player go to my favorite team. Like it's so
sick.
It's so crazy.
But yeah, you guys can again links to everything in the description for what Noah plugged with his podcast. I'll be plugging his Twitter account, and I'm going to be plugging the Catching Hope article as well. Go check out Gastonia, the Ghost Peppers, and make sure to follow us on social media as well: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page. Handle is the same. It's Fireside Yankees, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go Yankees, and peace out.
Perfect.